Hey guys, welcome back. It's me, Gimpy, and I must say I am a very excited man today. I have it on good authority that I might have actually squealed like a schoolgirl when I saw the box sitting on my front stoop when I walked into my house today. If you didn't bother to read the title, or if you recognize the map that's laying out here, this is an unboxing of GMT's Unconditional Surrender, World War II in Europe. I have been waiting on this game for a very, very long time. I'm going to do an unboxing of it. I've actually been waiting to do this video to open it. I haven't even opened the shrink off of this yet. The map's out because I did get the actual mounted map from GMT instead of just using the paper ones that come with it, because I know this game's going to get a lot of table time, and I wanted the nice mounted map to go with it, which it's actually a little bit smaller than anticipated. I mean, it's still massive. You guys can see this. It's taken up almost my entire table here. I have a hard time just getting the whole thing in frame. But it's about the size, if you have played the U.S. Civil War by GMT as well, the whole map is about the size of the map that comes with that game. It's two pieces, as you can see. We'll pull apart, you can see. You know, it's two pieces that fold out. Pretty standard, which you would expect for a war game. And I would suggest when you first get it to go ahead and lay it out, if you do have the mounted map like this, and put a sheet of plexiglass over it, or some game board box or something to weigh it down a little bit, because of course it's been folded, so it's going to be, you know, popping up a little bit. But anyway, let's not hold up, because I am just, you guys have no idea how excited I am. This game, as you can see, it's about the grand strategic war in World War II, and this is specifically the European theater and the northern part of Africa. You don't get into anything else besides that. There are some boxes on the edges that represent different parts of the world just in abstraction, like the coast of America and things like that. I'll show you guys that here in a sec. But this, you can take and recreate the war itself. You can have what ifs happen in, like, you know, what country joins, you know, when certain countries go to war. Oh, I've been waiting to do this all day. You have no idea. A lot of times I have to wait to do my filming until after my children have gone to bed, unless I want you guys to listen to nothing but them squealing. So, standard opening here. We've got the rule book, which is 56 pages, as you can see there, and it appears to be a standard GMT rulebook. If you've played any war games like this before, I mean, it's, from what I understand, I've actually been studying this before it even came in. I've been poking around the computer. I think I can't remember what I downloaded on. I think it was Vassal or something that I downloaded the rules on, and I was reading them up so I could go ahead and start understanding it. Nice rulebook, colored. It's not glossy, it's matte, which I like that actually better than the glossy. Nice little examples of play. The only thing with games like this is, since they are so massive, because this is what I think has been considered a mini monster when it comes to monster board games. And I like what they did with this, in that it's got a reduced amount of counters. And you guys will see that when I pull the counters out here in a sec. That, okay, for example, another game in similar vein that I have by Compass Games, Absolute Victory, which actually was one of the ones that got me into the whole wargaming thing, has something, yeah, I can't even remember, 1,800 counters with it, and this has less than half that. I don't know, I think it might even be more than that in Absolute Victory. And game, or another one I saw actually spoke about on Facebook group that I'm part of, the Solitaire Facebook group, War in the Pacific by Decision Games. That one has, I think, 9,000 counters with it, something like $400. I mean, personally, I would love to get it just to do an unboxing of it, but I couldn't imagine keeping track of all the counters, and it would be so hard to solo something like that. But this, you can have the strategic level campaign of the entirety of World War II, and you can have multiple factions, because in this you've got the Axis, you've got the Allies, you've got the Soviets, and not be bogged down with so many counters that it's impossible to keep track of. Everyone that I've ever talked to loves this game. You guys have no idea. how excited I am to get it down to the table. Playbook, I'm assuming this is the scenarios that are going to come with the game. 3 faction scenarios, 2 faction scenarios. I'm definitely going to be doing a 3 faction scenario. It's listed here as the main event, Europe 1939 to 1940 question mark. I like that because you can what if it. When does the war end? I think supposedly they're doing a unconditional surrender war in the Pacific, which I would love to see this type of game done in the Pacific. I would absolutely go nuts for that because, I mean, you guys know I was in the Marines. I love anything to have to do with the Marines. And it looks like you've got your standard charts here that list down your units and things of that nature. I'll definitely have to take some time. This is going to be a learning experience for me. There's no doubt about that. One of the things I wanted to do, or one of the reasons I wanted to do the unboxing, is so you guys could see the difference between the paper maps and the mounted maps. These are the paper maps that come with it. Tell you what, let's take and zoom in a little bit. This one should be the one that takes and matches up with that right side. And see how that looks. Yeah, there we go. And see how much of a color difference we have here when it comes down to it. Zoom in a little bit. I mean, you guys can see that there's really not that much of a color difference when it comes down to it. The paper maps, they don't necessarily bother me when it comes to these games. They're a lot easier to pack in the boxes and keep track of and everything. But I have noticed with some of the glossy ones, which this one is, it's one of the glossier ones, that over time, as you fold them and put them in and out of the box and everything, that even if you don't back fold them and you take care of them, you can still start to get that crease mark there down along your folds where some of the color and the ink starts to come off. So it's another reason why I just prefer the mounted maps if I can get them. And it looks like, because if you compare right here, just looking at these hexes, Egypt right at here, you can see the color is a little more vibrant on the mounted map than it is on the paper one. It looks like, let me pan it over actually so you guys can see what I'm talking about here. Right here along the line of the border between, this is the paper map and the mounted one, the water hexes here, you can see there's a little bit deeper blue. It just seems like the colors are a little bit deeper and richer on the mounted one versus the paper one, but it's so minute, it's really not that big of a difference. I don't think it's going to matter one way or the other. It's just up to you, your preference. If mounted maps don't bother you, stick with it, don't worry about it. Anyway, let's get back to the unboxing itself. So we've got our 2 paper maps, 22 by 34, the standard, so your poster frame size maps that come with it. And the big thing that everyone wants to see, and I'm not one of those guys that takes and saves the counters for last. I know you guys want to see those. So, wow, there's a buttload of player aids in this thing. It looks like it only comes with 3 sheets of counters. So let's take a look at these real quick. We've got our, looks like our Russian counters, our German counters, French, British, American. There's not a whole lot of American counters. That couldn't be all of them, could it? I mean, there's only, I think that's the tank symbol. Yeah, obviously it uses the NATO symbols. Are there some more Americans? Well, there's some Western Ally stuff there, but these are the support markers. You've got Italy up there, along with, I think that's more French. That might be, I'm assuming since it's VIC, Vichy. Control markers, those are just, I forget the word for it, small nation markers, Yugoslavia, Poland, Sweden, things of that nature. And what do we have? Wow, this thing is very counter light. And that's part of the reason it's gotten such high reviews, is that you can have such a massive scope game that is not bogging you down. Like when I got Absolute Victory, which, like I said again, I do like Absolute Victory. It is a good game, but it is very counter heavy. And in that game, there are more counters just for the smaller nations, your minor countries, than there are probably in the entirety of this game. And then you see the backside of the counters, the reduced side. I'll tell you what, I really did expect more USA counters than are included. That's interesting. We'll definitely have to see. I mean, America was a big part of World War II. We're really going to have to see how this plays out. There's plenty of counters for their fleets. Not a whole lot of actual ground unit counters, though. A bunch for Russia, obviously, because they were so infantry heavy. And obviously we've got our, and let's zoom in a little bit closer here. Light over so you guys can see a little better. We've got our player aids. This is the Axis faction card. And one of the things that I think that they did on this game that I liked is when it came to the production, they do have player aids that are specific for each individual country, or they have a player aid that covers all the countries, so you can reduce the amount of clutter you have on your table. Faction eliminated. Okay, so an eliminated unit is put here. Okay, this looks like where you're going to keep track of your units to mobilize and things of that nature. The same thing, this is the Soviet version of what we were just looking at. And then the Western version of what we were just looking at. And what do we have here? This is the operations phase flowchart. So I think the operations phase is the phase in which you take and do your actual combat. Okay, here we go. Sequence of play. This is the entire sequence of play. Weather phase, declare war phase. And this is what I am very much looking forward to, is the fact that you can have I'm choking on my words here. I'm so excited. The diplomacy of the actual war, and you get to experience that with the political markers that come into play during the game. So you can take and use some of your production to try to influence certain nations to come over to your side. So a nation that might have been pro-Allied during World War II, if Germany puts a lot of their production into switching that nation over to the Axis, they could end up switching it. And this is just one of the neatest parts of this game. I cannot wait to get that going. And I think it's interesting how in this game they take, in the economy, your production value is used for everything. It's used to move your units on the board. It's used to make new units. It's used to resupply your aircraft. It's used to resupply your navy. It's used to strengthen back up reduced units. Everything is done with the same points when it comes down to it. So you need to choose carefully on where you're going to spend your points. They have multiple of these sheets because, obviously it's a more than one player game. And what do we have here? This just looks like a standard player rate. Okay, here we go. Another big reason that this game is well liked by so many people is that it has a single combat results table for everything. For your ground combat, your air combat, your naval combat, everything is going to be handled by this table itself. You simply look at your modifiers depending on what you're doing: strategic combat, ground combat, air, naval, whatever it is you're doing, and then you roll your dice, add your modifiers, and you're going to have your standard defender retreats, defender disrupted, defender eliminated, attacker, attacker stopped, attacker attrition. It has it listed all down here. So this tells you pretty much everything you need to know about combat once you actually have gone through the rules and understand it. Oh, I like it on the back. It's got a little chart here for the production and for your movement and for how much it's going to cost you to go into certain places. And one of the things that you notice about this game is the fact that none of the counters have any numbers on them. None. All right? There's nothing to keep track of on the board. Okay? That is very interesting to me. I cannot wait to try that out. It's all handled by your die roll modifiers. Like German units, they get a +2. French, UK, and USA units, they get a +1. I don't know about that +1 for French. Elite units, they get +1, and then reduced strength, low supply, all down the line. So they've got modifiers built into the game to signify the level of the troops. Germany had, obviously it had good troops, so they get that natural +2 bonus. Personally, I think the American unit should get the +2, 3, 10 bonus, but hey, I'm biased. So let's see what else we got in the box. One more player aid that I had missed, and we've got some dice. They're colored because you were going to use these to help roll off on your weather chart when you're going across the game. There's technically 4, but mainly 3 different weather zones. Africa, the top of Africa is going to be fair weather always, but the rest of them are going to be adjusted, and you have a dice you can roll for each. But obviously you're going to use these for combat as well. And then you're down to the bottom of the box, which I'm probably going to be taking this little insert out and replacing that with a counter tray, which, oh no, Gimpy just realized he forgot to order a counter tray with it. You gotta be kidding me. Oh well, I'll take and get that fixed. There's a game store just up the road from me I can take and order one from. But oh, I cannot wait to get this game to the table. I have heard so many good things about it. I haven't seen anyone give it a bad review ever. I mean, it is just so highly regarded. The production quality is high. Now, it looks like the counters that come with it, they're not the, see if you guys can see that, not the thin white counters like that came with the Doolittle Raid. They're not as thick as lock and load counters, but if you've played Space Empires 4X or the Civil War by GMT as well, they're about that thick. So they're not bad counters. They're perfectly thick enough. They are die cut, so thank you GMT. I will be sitting here making clippy all night long, but that's okay because I do have that 2mm rounder by, I need to remember that company so I can push them because I do like their counter rounder. One of you guys will put it down in the comments, I'm sure, of which one it is. I gotta figure out these things. I thought I had seen a chart that covered all of them, but oh, here it is. Here we go. That's what I was looking for, is the back of this one. It has it to where you can take and keep track of all the national wheel tracks, factories, production points, and all that good stuff right here on this one chart. This is going to make it so much easier. Oh, I cannot wait. But it's interesting. I've watched some other playthrough videos on it, and you'll use production points to activate a unit, and that unit will have so many movement points. I think it's 8 if I remember right, and they can use it to move. And if they move into a hex that's occupied by an opposing force, then you take and have combat. But if that unit has movement points left after the combat, they can continue to keep fighting, keep moving, keep going. There's rules obviously for zones of control and crossing rivers and all the other different types of terrain that you're going to encounter. So I'm going to have to take some time to learn all that. I am going to do a playthrough on this. I don't know how in depth I'm going to do it, if it's going to be a full-on playthrough where I'm recording every single bit of it, or if I just record bits and pieces and then do a summary of the turn. The game is just so long. It's so in depth, and it's monster status that it would take many hours of recording to show everything, and I don't want to bore people with everything. So I'll have to record the first couple of turns and then just edit it down and see what it works. You guys let me know in the comments what it is you want. If you want a full playthrough, if you want every single minutia and minute of gameplay recorded and posted, you know, I can do that because I'm going to be recording it anyway. Or if you just want kind of the overview of it, you know, I'm doing this for you guys, so what you guys want is what I'm going to be putting up. But be on the lookout for that. It will be up actually as soon as I finish the Doolittle raid. I've got the air turn, the flight turn, and the attack turn left to record for that. And then this is going on the table that one's on now. So a couple more days and I will have this down, but it will give me time to take and actually learn the rules and watch a few other videos so I can take and educate myself on how to play this beautiful game that I have been pining for so long. Anyway, you guys take care. I'll see you in the next one.